At 3:17 a.m. local time on July 30th, 2025, the seafloor off the eastern coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula ruptured violently. A magnitude 8.8 earthquake, among the strongest to strike the Pacific Ring of Fire in years, unleashed chaos beneath the ocean and triggered tsunami alerts across half the planet. What followed was a terrifying chain of events: coastal evacuations, a region-wide tsunami scare, and even signs of volcanic unrest. This was not just a local disaster. The quake sent shockwaves from Russia to Japan, tsunami warnings as far as Chile and Hawaii, and fear rippling throughout the Pacific. For millions, it was a wake-up call to the unstoppable force of Earth's natural violence. According to the Russian Geophysical Service, the earthquake struck at a shallow depth of around 35 kilometers beneath the seafloor. The epicenter was located roughly 300 kilometers off the coast of Kamchatka, a remote but highly active seismic zone. Residents of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, the largest city in the region, were jolted awake by intense ground shaking that lasted over a minute. Videos captured ceiling tiles falling, dogs barking frantically, and furniture toppling as buildings swayed. People ran into the streets in panic, fearing both structural collapse and the far greater threat rising from the sea: a tsunami. Within minutes, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, PTWC, issued alerts across the entire Pacific Rim. Countries including Japan, the United States, Canada, Mexico, Peru, Ecuador, Chile, New Zealand, Indonesia, and the Philippines were all placed on high alert. As the quake's energy pulsed through the ocean, it created ripples that grew into waves, racing across the Pacific at up to 800 km/h. In Hawaii, sirens blared across the islands before dawn, waking residents and tourists alike. Emergency services urged people to move inland and avoid low-lying areas. In Chile and Peru, authorities ordered the evacuation of dozens of coastal towns, closing ports and shutting down transportation networks. At the same time, Mexico, French Polynesia, and even parts of Australia began preparing for potential impacts. Fortunately, by the time tsunami waves reached populated areas, they were mostly under 1 meter in height. The Russian coast saw waves estimated at 65-80 centimeters, while Japan recorded peaks of 50 centimeters in the Hokkaido region. Still, the widespread alerts caused massive disruption. Flights grounded, ports closed, and coastal highways blocked off. In the Kuril Islands, where tsunami waves made landfall sooner, roads were flooded and several fishing villages saw wharfs damaged. Russian state media broadcast images of vehicles submerged in seawater and emergency workers setting up temporary shelters. Just hours after the massive undersea quake, signs of volcanic unrest began to surface across Kamchatka. Satellite data from Japan's meteorological agency and the Smithsonian's Global Volcanism Program revealed thermal anomalies at Klyuchevskaya Sopka and Shiveluch, two of the region's most active and dangerous volcanoes. By midday, July 31st, ash plumes were seen drifting across eastern Kamchatka. Seismologists believe the earthquake may have destabilized nearby magma systems, increasing the likelihood of eruptions. The convergence of tectonic rupture, tsunami threat, and volcanic activity has led experts to label this event a triple seismic threat. a rare and hazardous combination that underscores the volatility of the Pacific Ring of Fire.
Раньше назначенного в 50 ожидалось. Ого-го, наполнение воды.
Ну, в общем, обещанного цунами не случилось. Сказали чуть-чуть.
The Kamchatka Peninsula sits at a critical tectonic boundary where the Pacific Plate subducts beneath the North American Plate. This process fuels a deadly trio of geological threats: earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. With over 300 volcanoes, around 30 currently active, Kamchatka is one of the world's most volcanically active regions. Both Shiveluch and Abeko erupted earlier this year, and the recent quake has prompted authorities to raise volcanic alert levels and restrict airspace. Residents have been urged to stay at least 5 kilometers away from active craters and prepare for possible ashfall in nearby communities. Despite the quake's strength, the worst-case scenario was avoided thanks to its offshore epicenter and rapid warnings. Still, the city of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky suffered moderate structural damage. Several districts lost power, communications were briefly disrupted, and at least 5 people were injured, mostly by falling debris and panic during evacuation. Emergency teams were deployed from Vladivostok and nearby bases, delivering mobile kitchens, water units, and medical aid. Local schools and gymnasiums were turned into temporary shelters, housing thousands of residents during aftershocks and tsunami alerts. By July 31st, over 40 aftershocks had rattled the region, including a 6.9 magnitude tremor just 3 hours after the initial quake. Experts warn that more strong aftershocks are likely in the coming days. Stress shifts from the main rupture could even trigger movement along adjacent fault lines, increasing seismic risk in places like Japan, Alaska, and the U.S. West Coast. Geologists from the USGS and Russia's Seismological Institute are now monitoring fault behavior closely. Kamchatka's tectonic setting is capable of producing megaquakes above magnitude 9.0, similar to the 2011 Tohoku disaster in Japan.